If you've been struggling showing up as your authentic self in your corporate role, I bet you've been saying some things that are working against you. I want to share 5 phrases authentically powerful corporate women never say. Now, they might think it, but I bet you they wouldn't think it. But I know they won't say it. And the only reason why I know that is because I have been showing up as my authentic self. And I started to recognize certain patterns, certain things that I would do that would stop me from either going live or saying something that I know I should say or not saying something that I know I should say because I know where my power come from. I know where my purpose is, and I know how to connect with people. And I know how to do that through my authentic voice. Everybody in corporate America, even in this time period, are still saying, show up as your authentic self. But no one ever taught anybody what that meant. And the reason why I have to address this with corporate women is because we are the ones who have been really code switching. We've been imposturing, dimming our light. No one ever, ever, ever said, okay, we need to go from this to this. And you all are still struggling because you're over here doing what you've been doing in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s in the 2010s. We're in 2025. And I will say that some women who are a little bit more seasoned, like myself, are looking at young people because they are showing up as their true, authentic self. And we don't like that. And we just wonder why they think they are allowed to do that. That's because on the wall and in the mission statement, it says that you should. So today, I want to share with you some phrases that you need to be removing from your narrative. And I need you to start catching yourself. When you start saying these words, it's because it's disallowing you to be able to be you. You see, when you show up authentic and you show up as yourself, it's a process. And there's a reason why I have my path to power, purpose, and connection up here is because you've been illuminating a certain character. And this is a whole diagram of what I teach my clients. But the reason why you're having a hard time is because your character is flawed, right? You are one person behind the scenes. You say this is my professional life and this is my professional life and this is my personal life. Mistake number one. But that's not what this video is for. But I'm just saying that that's a part of the reason why you're struggling, right? You're so struggling because you think you got to be 3 different people. It's hard to keep up with all these identities and personalities. But I want to give you some narrative, some words to speak that are going to help you with your character. And the character, by the way, on this path to power, purpose, and connection, your character is what everybody feels. It's what everybody knows you are, even if you say you're not. That's because whatever you have in your mind and whatever you think, whatever's going on in the back of your mind is exactly what you're putting out there. So today, I need to equip you with these 5 phrases that corporate women, these authentically powerful corporate women, never say. Now, the only other reason why I know that is because I'm the authentic power strategist. I have spent the better part of my adult life learning how to take my authenticity and put it into my power position as a former corporate executive, as a civil rights attorney. I have used every single thing that I am about to teach you in this video. I have used it to maintain my success. I've never, ever, ever had a problem getting promoted. I'm just keeping this real. I knew that there was something special about me. And every single time I went with my internal knowing and said what I needed to say, people thought she must know what she's talking about, right? And I did all the time. But because I exuded this, I got results. I got promoted. I got put in rooms that I didn't even ask to be put in, but I got in. And I want to give that to you right now. So I keep this here, and I'm going to be keeping this in all of my videos, because every single thing I say, everything that is going to help you be successful as a corporate woman, using your authentic voice, speaking up, advocating, showing up, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't feel like you belong, you will go, because this will be your guide. So, but let's start off with this. I need to share something with you. I need you to know that I use scripture, I use quotes, I use books, I use a lot of beautiful people in history who have taught me some things. And so I'm going to bring that into this video live right now. So the first thing I need you to know is that the scripture that I want to point to right now is Philippians 4:8. Philippians 4:8, whether you believe in the Bible or not, or God, whatnot, you going to know what this is, because when you're trying to exude yourself and be authentic, there is a certain frame of mind you need to be in. And what I want you to do is look at Philippians 4:8. And Philippians 4:8 says that whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, whatever is praiseworthy, excellent, think on those things. Now I'm going to repeat. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy, think on those things. Now, that scripture really has you thinking a little bit, because it makes you think, well, am I praiseworthy? Is what I believe about myself true? Do I speak truth to myself? Do I think I'm right? Am I excellent? You have to really put yourself in this scripture, because if you don't put yourself in that scripture, that's where you're probably having a big problem. And most of us aren't examining the way that we think. And when you lose the examination of the way that you think, your character is flawed. This word is character, is flawed. And you're not on the path of power, purpose, and connection. So you have to look at that. That's the first place we have to start. When we start to talk about the 5 phrases that I want to give to you that you should never ever say, right? But I want to start there, because you have to know everything starts with the root. We can give you some topical spray, but if you ain't changing the roots, you're going to be back in my office. And I want you to come into my office. I want you to sit down. I want you to take some notes. I want you to go away, and I want you to implement them, so that when you come back into my office, you have grown and gotten better. And the roots are starting to get much more filled with nutrients, and the soil is soiled and tilled. Okay, let me stop, because I'm going to go on and on and on. But I want to give you these 5 phrases, and I want you to hear them and see, is this you? Because if this is you, we got to come up with an alternative. All right. But if it's true, if it's praiseworthy and noble and admirable, you will begin to change. All right. So here we go. Phrase number 1. This is the first phrase that authentically powerful corporate women never, ever say. All right. You ready for it? We'll see. Simple, right? Oh, I don't know. We'll see. Like what? We'll see. No. Authentically powerful corporate women don't go, we'll see. You know, I hear people say this all the time. They'll say, I'm just going to say, we'll see, so I don't feel like I'm going to be let down. I don't want to be let down, because if it doesn't happen, then I kind of can reserve myself for when it does. What? Like that make that make sense logically. No, that doesn't make sense. Authentically powerful corporate women believe it to be when they say that. There's no will see. There is it will. It will. It's a confidence. See, authentically powerful corporate women are confident. They don't have will see is not in their vocabulary. This is not even in their mindset. Will see. Oh, let me go out here and run this race and we'll see if I decide to do it or not. Oh, let me go out here and negotiate my contract and we'll see if I get it. Oh, let me go out here and go buy this house and we'll see if I can close the deal. What? That don't make sense. So do you say that? If you do, get it out of your vocabulary and instead say, I'm going to get that. I'm going for that. This is going to happen. I am so excited because it's already here. It just hasn't physically manifested yet. It's there. It just hasn't physically manifested that yet. So we'll see. Chuck it. Get that phrase out of your vocabulary. That's the first phrase I want you to say bye-bye to. The second phrase, authentically powerful corporate women never say is, I wonder what they will think if. I wonder what they will think if. Okay, you see, I wonder what they will think if I say blah, 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 is where you have started. Like that's a false start in track. I used to run track, so that would be a false start. Okay, false start again. I wonder what they will think if is not something that you want to have in your vocabulary. Now, you might be thinking, well, what about like marketing people? Like, shouldn't I wonder what they think? See, the thing is when you choose to be authentically powerful, you go forth and you allow them to think whatever they want to think. Your job is not to manage their thoughts. That's not any of your business. Often when we are out here speaking our truth and authentically powerful corporate women, it's not like they're not concerned about people. It's just we don't try to manage what other people's thoughts are. So when we're thinking of sharing a new idea, when we're thinking about wearing what we want to wear, when we're thinking about speaking up or showing up at an event, we don't sit in our car, look in the mirror, and we start contemplating, wonder what they will think if. No, that's not what we do. We just do. And we allow people to think whatever it is that they want to think. And our job is not to manage that. Okay? All right. Number 3. This is kind of similar, but it's a little different, right? And it really goes into the person's thoughts. And I say this because it's a little different. It says, I don't want them to think that. And it's kind of like you are filling in the word for what it is that you are thinking about yourself. It's just a little variation on number 2, but it gets into this whole idea of you, again, managing their thoughts. The first one is, which is number 2, it says, I wonder what they will think if. And then the third one is, I don't want them to think that. So it does have a similarity. It's just a little twist because you say, I don't want them to think that is a little bit more controlling of their thoughts. And often the third one, it really gets into some of the things I think you're scared about yourself. And so I want you to stop saying that phrase. First, we'll see. Second, I wonder what they will think if. And third, I don't want them to think that. Okay. And number 4 is, I don't want to offend others by, you see, you're so worried about offending people. Just you being yourself could be offensive. And again, there's all these different variations, but at the end of the day, it's so outward for you to be able to be thinking about offending someone. So the mere thought of you thinking that you might offend someone, again, is another, actually, you have started, but you have likely gotten out of your lane when you're running. Because when you are just being yourself, just walking into a room could offend someone. You have to understand when people are worried about offending people, they are worried about being everyone wanting them to be their friends. And you have to understand that as a powerful person, a person who demands a certain presence, worrying about offending people is the last thing that should be on your mind. Instead, going into circumstances knowing that you can't manage other people's thoughts, either offensively or defensively, or thinking something may or may not happen. There has to be an assurity. And offending people, these are all things that people start thinking about, right? But again, it has to go back to you. Do you think you're right? Right? Do you feel you're admirable? Do you feel you're praiseworthy? Because if it's not excellent, if you don't think you're excellent, you're going to be thinking about these things. All right. So the fifth thing that I really believe I know, not I believe, I know authentically, powerfully corporate women do not say, and this last one is this: I hope I didn't say too much about myself. Did I overshare? What? A lot of people feel like them sharing is and coming from the heart is a problem. And I remember watching Brene Brown in her video after her TED Talk went viral. She spent so much time in misery and she called it a vulnerability hangover, that she was saying too much. She felt like she said too much. Now get it. Now get this, okay? She spent so much time thinking that, and she teaches this, right? She's the person who's done all the research. Now she's come up with a strategy for how people can know when to say too much and when to say, and okay, that strategically sounds great, but I also know that people who follow my methodology, they get on the path to power, purpose, and connection. They actually practice and they go into situations and they speak their truth and they come from the heart and they are saying things not from the standpoint of hurt, meaning that they're not bleeding all over everyone with all of their sadness, right? Because I know one thing, that it's better to speak from your wounds, from your scars than your wounds, meaning that your wounds are open, right? They're like right now, I have a little patch on my back arm because I had a issue with my arm and I had to get it lanced. And it's kind of like nasty and seeping, right? And so right now, if I am in the nasty and seeping part, probably not going to, I probably might be sharing much and it might feel like I'm oversharing because I'm not sure of myself, right? It's kind of open. It's seeping. It's kind of nasty, right? And so not likely the best place to share. But what I will share with people is about my scars, right? The what I had to come over, what I had to get over to share. And someone will say, well, I need a trauma warning. I need all this other stuff. I know that there's an intelligence inside of you that knows how to share, when to share. And if you follow this methodology and you learn how to practice this, you will get so better at it. But again, I'm going to go back to my overarching scripture. Whatever is true, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, and whatever is excellent and praiseworthy, you want to think on those things. And what you think and what you believe is what comes out of your mouth. So what I want you to have coming out of your mouth instead is, I'm sure of this. I'm confident of this. I bet on myself. I show up unapologetic. I show up in love. I show up in truth. I show up the way that I know when I'm in my true skin. That's what I show up as. I don't put on a show for this person or this person. I show up as Diana. Now, inferred in that is, I got to learn about myself. I need to learn who I am. Absolutely. And this is a message that I want you to know that you have to get. So promise yourself, raise your right hand. I am right here. I promise not to say these words. And if I do say those words, I'm going to stop myself and I'm going to find an alternative thing. So here's some homework for you. First, I want you to tag which words that you say. You might come up with a few other words, some other phrases that you know you shouldn't be saying. Okay. So that's some things. The other things that I want you to think about is really writing down that scripture and asking yourself, do I actually feel that about myself? And if not, why? Why don't I feel that way? The third thing I want you to do is to write down your alternative phrases that you will say and think about for yourself when it's time for you to speak up and show up as your true, authentic self, right? This is what I want you to think about. And I would be so wrong if I did not give you something that you can begin to work on. As a certified authentic power strategist, I want to give you the free audio series called Unlock Your Authenticity Code so that you can overcome the fear of being yourself, so that you can accelerate your career, build your wealth, and have healthy relationships. We all know that people that live with a deep sense of authenticity and they bet on themselves, these are the wealth builders. These are the people who have great, healthy relationships. Why? Because they have a healthy relationship with themselves. So this is something I want you to learn, I want you to know, and I want you to go for. Sound like a plan? All right, well, I'm going to be coming here live on YouTube every single day. Well, not live. I'm going to be showing videos. Sometimes I'll go live. But I want you to stick with me, come with me, follow my videos, listen to them. I'm going to be giving you some homework to think about. We're constantly going to be referencing our path to power, purpose, and connection. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.